1, 2, 3, 4. When I was young, I had a lot to say. So I learned how to sing, I learned how to play. You said you were mine when you heard my song. After all these years, you still sing along. The first time, the best time, the good times to come. Those three things we'll never forget.
Hello and welcome. My name is Maria Belcher and I'm the Executive Director at FestivALL Charleston, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you to another wonderful episode of Three Things. We are on Season 5, Episode 9, which does mean that we are on the last episode of this season, but we have three wonderful guests that we're all very excited to hear from today to be a part of our Season 5 finale. But before we hear from those guests, I want to give a big thank you to all of you for tuning in, to our season ticket holders, and to our sponsors. Not just for your support of this episode, but for your continued support and patronage of Three Things this entire season. I can't say how much it has meant to the FestivALL and Three Things teams to see just how many of you continue to tune in episode after episode in this virtual format, because I know, we all know, how much we would love to be celebrating this season in person, but we are certainly looking forward to the day where we are able to celebrate Three Things in person at the John L. Dickinson Homeowner and Education Center with you and see your bright and smiling faces. We're really looking forward to when that day comes. And when it does, hopefully that will be during Season 6. And we do have Season 6 season passes available for purchase on the website, FestivALLCharleston.com. You can purchase that for yourself or a gift for someone else and have access to all 9 episodes, no matter the delivery, whether you get the link to your inbox or we do get to see you in person as a part of Season 6. So that is 9 episodes for the cost of 7 that you can get at FestivALLCharleston.com. And while you're there, be sure to check out the Support Small catalog that Mallory Richards, our art fair coordinator, has put together. On our homepage, it is linked where you can have access to a catalog made up of all of the artists that have participated in both the June and October art fairs in 2020 as a part of FestivALL. So whether you are looking for a local potter, a local jeweler, a printmaker, a leather worker, you name it, that is a great resource for you to use in your holiday shopping, whether it's for someone else or if it's a little treat for yourself. So we encourage you to support small, not just today and during this holiday season, but every day. And we thank you so much for your support of the arts in your community when you do so. So now, with that, I will, for the last episode of 2020, pass the virtual mic over to Mr. Jeff Shirley, but not before I give him a virtual high five. Take it away, Jeff.
Thank you, Maria, and thank you all for joining us for this episode of Three Things, my first, my favorite, my future. This is the final installment of our 5th season, and we have a really great lineup to close out the year. But first, I want to take a minute to thank some folks that have really helped us get through this season. Maria and Mallory at FestivALL, our sponsors, West Virginia Public Broadcasting, Farmer Klein and Campbell, the University of Charleston, MVB Bank, Taylor Books, the Charleston Convention and Visitors Bureau, and especially the generous folks at the Glotfelty Foundation. I'd like to thank my technical director, Ruben Shirley, the Three Things trio of Larry Gross, Mark Davis, Michael Lipton, and John Ingram for their wonderful theme song. Ian Bodie for 5 years of drawing our guests' faces, and Lauren Allen for our logo, and of course Patrick Stevens. It's been a great 5 years doing this show, thanks to my 130 guests over 43 episodes, willingness to share their stories with us. And along with the support of the community, the bottomless well of possible and future guests around this area will make it possible for us to continue to do this show for many seasons to come. We will start our 6th season in February, and we'll get back to that monthly schedule that we had before. But let's get started with tonight's show. 3 Things is a simple concept. We have 3 people get up and talk about their careers and lives with the 3 themes of first, favorite, and future. And I don't give my guests much more instruction than that, in the hopes that we get them to take their own unique approach to the task. So we begin this episode with the owner and baker at Mia's Panaderia. They sell beautiful and delicious vegan desserts that are available at a number of venues around Charleston that she'll tell you a little bit about here when she gets on. I contacted her one day and asked if she could make something very special for my vegan wife. And she told me, don't worry, she has me covered. And boy, did she. That was the day that I decided that she would someday be a guest on 3 Things. And finally, I got around to asking her, and thankfully, she said yes. She makes very special food with a story behind it, and I just find her to be a very interesting person. So please welcome, from Mia's Panaderia, Jayde Akers.
Hi, my name is Jayde. I am the owner of Mia's Panaderia. I'm excited to be on 3 Things to tell you and show you a little bit about what we do. So first, we started making vegan conchas and cookies for friends and family. We went vegan about 2 years ago when I was pregnant with Mia. We were actually introduced to the vegan lifestyle by John and Rihanna Scholler. They're actually good friends of ours. I couldn't eat anything, and I thought, well, maybe we need to change this up. And Rihanna had suggested, hey, maybe have you tried vegan if dairy and meat and all that is making you sick? And you know, Caleb and I are never ones to back down from a challenge, and we thought, okay, let's try this for a week. And then here we are 2 years later, we're still vegan. We noticed there's a lot of exciting new things that we can eat, and also some things that we missed, you know, cakes, cookies, bread, and we wanted to veganize it all. We wanted to say, like, hey, this can still taste good even if it's plant-based. And we researched and we did a lot of practice runs. We probably had 8 to 10 failed batches of cookies, and they just kept turning out like pancakes and not like cookies at all. And it takes a lot of time to get those recipes right, but once they're down, they're so good. And we love sharing that with everyone. And one of my favorite things in the world is pan dulce. So I set myself on a journey of veganizing traditional Mexican and Honduran sweetbreads. We started a passion page on Facebook for our baking, and it really took off. People wanted to order and support us. We had a lot of support from family and friends, including a few local business owners. We registered our business, and here we are, a small home cottage food business. We run our kitchen like a small-scale bakery. It has its own fridge, freezer, oven, mixer, storage, and all of this was made possible by our loyal customers, and we are so thankful to find that support for a small vegan business. Melange and Mia Cuppa were the first to take a chance on retailing our items, and it really worked out. Now we've added Zegans to our family, as well as some orders for Joey's Rockin' Dogs and Tacos. So you might be wondering, how in the world did we get into the food industry? So a few years ago, there was a coffee shop for sale, and we bought it, and we went into business, myself, my husband, and my mother-in-law, Kathy, and it is now called Melange Cafe. And we loved having like a food business, and we saw the joy again in people's faces when they came, and ate the food, and we love Melange so much. His mom is still there, and it's a family-owned business, and she offers a lot of Polynesian, also vegan options to Charleston area. So we took what we learned from Melange and we applied it to Mia's Panaderia, and I was already making sweetbreads and cookies and things like that, so we thought, hey, why not make a business out of this? Now we did have to wait a little bit because the cottage food law was not yet what it is now. And then a new law passed in 2019 that allowed, to sell from your home, and it's a really good window of opportunity for local entrepreneurs here in Charleston, and it's a really easy startup. So at first we had to research a lot and we went through the Department of Agriculture and the health department to make sure that we were all good to go, and we registered the business. And I think it's a really great opportunity if someone is really good at baking and they want to test the waters. I think it's really cool that they can start something from home and there's not a lot of overhead, not a lot of risk, and if you're thinking about doing that, then go for it. And I think this is a great stepping stone, if you want to get a storefront one day. There's not a lot of risk again, and you don't have to go through investors or anything like that, and you can see if your product works here in the community, and if it works, you can grow it as fast or as slow as you'd like, and eventually you could have that storefront. So we started off with custom orders, a lot of custom orders. We did cakes, we did cookies, we did pan dulce, which included conchas and semitas, we did empanadas, and we had about 15 orders a week, and that might not seem a lot to some, but with a 2-year-old, well, she was younger then, it was a lot of work, and we wanted something a little bit more steady and something that we can plan our week out, so we started looking into wholesaling. We tested the waters at Melange, and that was easy because that's my mother-in-law. So it was a family-owned business, and of course they're more than welcoming. We started doing conchas and cookies, and it was very well received by the community, and people were looking forward to each week what we had next. So with Mia Cuppa, I think I annoyed him at first because growing up I've always been known to say, hey, taste this, see if it's good, and that's what I did. I just kept bringing in things for him to try, and he ordered a few times, and eventually we came to agreement and said, hey, let's try selling some of this stuff and see if it works. And so here we are now. We sell cookies, we do conchas occasionally, we do donuts, which is a really good seller, occasionally some s'mores stuffed cookies. And we do those drop-offs about 3 days a week. And we've also added Vegan Smoothie Shop, which that's very special to us because they are entirely organic and vegan restaurant, and they're proving that it works here in this area, and that's really exciting. So we bring cookies weekly to them as well. So if you're planning on starting your own business, selling baked goods and other items like that, it's really important to get those items into people's hands, and you can do that by giving out free samples and really treasure the feedback that they give to you and make them feel a part of the process, maybe even give them a custom item. I know Mia Cuppa has their own chocolate chunk walnut cookies. I get asked all the time, hey, can I have the Mia Cuppa cookies? And I say, no, I have to send them there. And just things like that, take care of your customers and take care of your clients. And people aren't going to buy right off the bat, so don't be discouraged. You've started your Facebook page, and go out there and keep marketing yourself and keep posting, and people will really like that, and eventually you'll get really loyal customers. I would say my favorite thing is working with other small businesses. We bring in baked goods and everyone smiles and they're happy to see us, and that really makes my day. I love being able to have plant-based options available to everyone, especially those with allergies to dairy, because it's so hard to find anywhere else. I love that they can enjoy these things like everyone else. We love working together as a family. It's a really enjoyable and rewarding line of work. We really love proving that plant-based or vegan does not have to taste different. People cannot believe our items are vegan. I know Caleb's favorite are the cookies, and mine are the donuts and conchas. You would never know the donuts are anything different, and You know, that's the one thing I really miss is a good donut. And we tried it one day and it stuck, and then it grew. And now we even have a mega donut challenge, a 1.5 pound donut eating challenge, and part of the proceeds goes towards local businesses. So that's gonna be really fun. So what's for the future for Mia's Panaderia? Well, it's looking a lot like cookies. We still do occasional pan dulce orders, and I don't think that will ever go away. But recently we became really passionate about cookies and noticed our customers are too. So we're launching our website where we can ship cookies to your door. Sometimes we have customers from Morgantown and Huntington that travel all the way to Charleston for their orders. So now we can ship cookies to them and others in West Virginia. Cookies are a lot more balanced for our lifestyle with raising little Mia, so she's about to be 2 years old. So for the future, we will be focusing on wholesale and cookies so we can spend more time with her. We can't wait to see what becomes of Mia's Panaderia and Mia's vegan cookies. So we want to take the time to thank everyone, our family, our friends, the businesses who took a chance on us, our taste testers. Thank you for helping a small business to be born here in Charleston. It's truly not possible without you. I remember the last order that came in and made it possible to order our mixer. Her name was Samantha. And I really want to thank my friend Amanda, who tirelessly worked on our merchandise so people could have cool shirts, and now hoodies are being made. We didn't think it would evolve to this point, and now it's providing for our family. So we're really thankful to be a part of this video series. Thank you, Jeff and FestivALL. There's so many more to thank, but we know you know who you are, and we love all of you.
Thank you so much, Jayde. And I know I will continue trying out all of your beautiful and delicious creations. We're really lucky to have you and your services here in Charleston. Next up, we have one of my favorite artists, Brian Pickens. He's a frequent collaborator with Three Things artist Ian Bodie, as they've worked on murals throughout town that you can see. I'm sure he'll talk a little bit about. He is the owner of the apparel company Made in WV, located in Morgantown, West Virginia. And Brian was born and raised in Weston, West Virginia. But I always considered him more of a statewide artist. So please help me welcome, to talk about his firsts, favorite, and future, Mr. Brian Pickens.
Hey there, everybody. Wait a second. That's better. Hey there, everybody. It's Brian Pickens here, your friendly neighborhood graphic designer, visual artist, muralist. I wear a lot of hats, including this one. I'm here to talk about the three things: my first, my favorite, and my future. So let's just dive right in, shall we? My first, if I try to remember as an artist, as a person who makes art, if I try to remember the first piece of art that I ever made, that's kind of impossible, because I think I was making art before I really was able to remember things. According to my parents, I picked something up, make an image with it, and that's how it went from as soon as I could grasp. So I'm gonna skip ahead significantly, I think, to what I feel like was kind of a first experience in my career that made me take it a little bit more seriously. I had some scholarships for art going through school, and that kind of let me know, like, oh, maybe I'm not too bad at this. Maybe I'm not as sucky as I thought I was. So that may have been a first little inkling, but I think the second the second first came much later, when I decided that I was going to try to make some iconic imagery for West Virginia. This was in the early 2000s, let's probably say 2006, 7, or 8. I'm not the best with time. So I decided I want to make like an iconic image. I want to make an image that represents West Virginia in a way that I want to see it represented. I'm not necessarily a big fan of like an airbrushed, outline of the state with almost heaven written around it on a white t-shirt. I wanted something a little bit more complicated. I wanted something that was a little bit more rock and roll, something that appealed to me, and I thought people liked me. So I created this thing that I called the West Virginia crest, and this incorporated a lot of the elements that I thought were special about my home state. And we got a cardinal. He's got a pistol in one hand and a beer in the other, which a lot of people can relate to that. There's some coal mining imagery on there. There's rhododendrons on there. The state motto, Montani Semper Liberi, is in there. And I kind of combined all these elements into what I called the West Virginia crest. And got together with a buddy of mine and bought a heat press thing for t-shirts, which if you've ever dealt with t-shirts or made t-shirts, that's not really the best way to go, but that's your entry-level garbage that you're going to deal with if you're just kind of a broke dude that wants to make some t-shirts. So we make some. We kind of go hang out on, tailgate days at WVU games, and they sell pretty well. So this led me to, it gave me the courage to, or it gave me the kind of enthusiasm and the courage really to say, you know what, I think I could kind of like start a business on this and maybe run a business. So in 2013, I did that very thing. And I started a business called Made in West Virginia. And really, this was the first time that commercially I began selling my art on kind of a regular basis. And it led so many fun places, and so many cool things happened because of it. That idea of being made in West Virginia was a much more specific idea to me than being made in the USA. It was a very singular type of experience and a singular type of person that I think is kind of forged in these hills and mountains. So I thought that would appeal to people, and it did, and it has. And I'm grateful for it, and I got to do so many cool things because of it. I traveled the state from stem to stern, down to Huntington, over to Wheeling, kind of over Shepherdstown, all over the place, really hitting all four corners. Charleston, of course, lots of stuff hitting around Morgantown to the lovely Helvetia. And went all over the place selling these shirts. And by doing that and interacting with people and meeting so many more people like myself, what that did was it really reinforced the idea that kind of started it in my head, that there are a lot of people in the state who are just cool as hell. And I mean, incredible people. I've met brewers and journalists and writers and fire jugglers and musicians of every size and stripe and shape and everything. And meeting all these people and having all these positive experiences and positive feedback over my kind of designs and my thoughts about what West Virginians wanted to see really propelled me to just continue on and say, like, this is worth it. Like, this is kind of a worthwhile thing, and people are appreciating what I'm doing, which kind of blew my mind, honestly. We've made bunches of stuff since then. Our Friends of Coal Miners was a very successful shirt, as opposed to Friends of Coal, because rocks don't have friends. And another one is Bury Me in West Virginia, which I got from all my friends that left, and I would see them come back and they'd say, well, bury me here, like, bury me in West Virginia, please. I want to be buried here. And I thought that was such a strong kind of an expression of how much you love a place. Like, I can't be here, but by God, you stick my bones there when it's all said and done. And I think that's really the first thing that kind of got me going. And then after that, after hearing your people give you positive feedback and stuff, you kind of get this little voice in your head, like, well, maybe, I don't know, do something else, do some more stuff, do some paintings, make some stickers, do some more drawings. And so that's what I've been doing kind of ever since. I mean, I was doing it before then, but after then I was like, this is a thing that I can do, and that people don't mind, and they don't hate. So I've been doing it ever since, and I really thoroughly enjoy it, and I'm so glad that it gave me that sense of, it is okay to be here, and it is okay to carve out your own little niche here. And I mean, there's been bunches of companies that have been doing it since I started doing it back in the day, but I welcome it. It's so cool to see other companies making like rad designs for West Virginia, because it's so much better than like a still life of a deer in front of a waterfall on a real tree shirt. I'm not knocking that, but that's about all there was around before I started doing what I'm doing. So I'm just delighted that a lot of other people got on the bandwagon, and now there are so many cool makers in West Virginia that just make kick-ass West Virginia stuff all over the place, and it is great. So that was really my first motivator, I suppose, my first validator and motivator, and just get up off your ass and keep doing what you're doing, and keep on trucking, Bob, because people like it, and damn it, you like it. So that's definitely it. Kind of starting my own business and just putting it out there and having people enjoy it and meeting like-minded individuals, and it's been great. It's been tons of fun. Selling stuff and learning internets and drawing pictures. It's been really good. So that was the first. Now, thing two is my favorites. I have quite a few. I got 3 in my notes here, so I'll just go over these 3 real quick. Since the initial start of that business, I've gotten to know so many friends, and one of those very good friends is Charleston artist Ian Bowie, and he just happened to, one time when we were going over some ideas and probably drinking a few beers and talking about stuff, happened to mention that there could be a chance for some murals coming up. And I thought, boy, oh boy, that's a mighty big job. I don't know if I can do that. Self-doubt biting the back of your neck again. And he seemed pretty confident that I could handle myself. So we made one mural, and then we made another one, and then we made another one. And now I think between the both of us, we're up to 8 or 9 or 10 maybe, or something. I did my first one by myself up here in Morgantown in 2019, and it turned out great, and could not be happier about it. I did it for the world famous Jean's Beer Garden here in Morgantown, actually on the side of the building that I live in, which is kind of cool to get to see that every time I get in my car and go to work. So doing these murals is it's just like starting the business. It's hearing from people that are excited about what you're doing. Oh, you're painting mural, which so many people call on the side of this building here. And yeah, it's like, yeah, we're bringing some color to town. We're creating some art on the side of your buildings to beautify and just create interesting spaces for you to exist in. A lot more interesting than like old rusty walls and, you know, non-controversial hamburgers being 20 feet tall. I mean, that's something that you want on your wall, certainly. And it's been just an absolute blast. It's been so great. Yeah, what a thrill, and what a thrill to be able to be contacted about doing more, which is just like, thank you so much. It's very cool, very, very cool. So these big, huge pieces of art, that's one of my current faves. Another one of my current faves, which combines probably my two most intense passions, art and beer, is getting to work with breweries around West Virginia to create beer labels. I never thought that would be a thing that I would ever do, and to do that and have a good beer, a good beer with your art on the front of it. Oh boy, just be still, my heart. It's it's wonderful. It's truly wonderful. I've worked with Parkersburg Brewing. I've worked with North End Tavern. Excuse me, they're in Parkersburg. North End Tavern. They were one of the first guys that hit me up for some artwork, and it was fantastic to work with them. I primarily work for Chestnut Brew Works here in Morgantown, which is a fantastic brewery. I've done some one-offs for some people, and recently Abolitionist Ale Works in Charlestown, West Virginia. So I've got to do a bunch, and it's been awesome. And you get free beer sometimes when you do that, so it all works out really well. That's yeah, it's a perk. It's a perk of the job, and it's pretty great. My other current favorite is the community that I live in. It has become, since I moved there, it has really blossomed, well, with artists and with musicians and with people that want to beautify the neighborhood. And I mean, I'm sure it started before I got there, but since I got there, it seems to have really taken off. You know, there's a big old mural on the side of our local watering hole, and there's art bears in the neighborhood. We have cool crosswalks. We have a Black Lives Matter crosswalk, which is awesome. We have a LGBT crosswalk, which is awesome, and just people doing their own little art on the porch and plants everywhere. And it's such a welcoming, embracing community that I had never ever really been a part of something like that before. I had been in the music community for a while, and that was like that, but I didn't literally live in the music community. We didn't have a neighborhood together, which I kind of live in a neighborhood now that is full of just talented, creative, amazing, artistically gifted, imaginarily gifted people that have a vision for making where they're at a better place. And I don't think there's much better that you can really try to strive for than to do that, both, you know, locally, micro locally, and macro locally. I have that same goal for West Virginia as a whole, and for Appalachia as a whole, really. I mean, embrace that identity, because it's a special identity, and I think people are really starting to recognize how special that is on a national level and beyond. I mean, people come to West Virginia and it affects them for the rest of their lives. And I have heard a whole bar full of people singing country roads in other countries than the USA. And it'll bring just like that misty moonshine, it'll bring a tear to your eye, and it's something special. So yeah, this art that we're doing, which is for the public, and people enjoy it. This beer labels that I'm making, you know, which is also for the public, and people also enjoy. Thankfully, I'm really happy about that. And just being a part of a community, which I've always kind of lived out out in the country or up on the hill, and I've never been able to walk out my door and say howdy neighbor and see my buds walking their dogs, and just getting to know people in the neighborhood. It's truly fantastic. I'm very thankful for that, and it's definitely a favorite that I have in my life right now. It's kind of astounding. Yeah, it's really good. The let's see, the thing 3 back here that we got to deal with, the future. Now, I'm kind of I'm a very live in the moment type individual. I mean, I think about the future. There's lots of things I want for the future. Mostly I want it to be better for almost everyone. I know that's a crazy goal, but I mean, it's a goal. I want people to have better lives. And I think art and music and community is a way to do that for people. I really do. Throw food in there, because boy, oh boy, food is a heck of a way to do it, and it's art as well, as far as I'm concerned. More murals, I would love that. More collaboration, more getting to know my community and working within my community. I can't think of anything else that would really delight me more than doing those things. And I know there's a few things on the line already that are going to be happening that I'm very excited about, and I can't really talk about right now, I don't think, but they're coming. Oh, they're coming. So, yeah, more art, more music, more community, more loving thy neighbor, more of all that sort of thing, and more excellent, wonderful, creative people in West Virginia and Appalachia and all around here, because I know there's so many of you out there, and I want to get to know you. Let's get to know each other. Okay. I think that's about it. Thank you so much. I'm humbled to be here. Little old Brian Pickens, just drawing his little heart out. Thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Brian, and great job. We'll be sure to keep our eyes out for your next amazing project. And be sure that you all check out his website, Made in WV, for some unique and creative items. Last up for this episode, and our last guest of our 5th season, we have one of those West Virginians that is able to instill some pride in the rest of us because of his success on a national level. Some Mountain State residents get excited when they're watching sports and they see someone like Randy Moss or Mary Lou Retton succeeding, or in television, Steve Harvey and his many shows, or Brad Paisley's commercials with Peyton Manning. But some of us get even more excited when we're listening to public radio and you hear from NPR, this is Giles Snyder. It always brings a smile on my face every time I hear that. It took me all year to convince him to do this, and I'm so glad that he finally said yes. And what a great way to close out this season. Please welcome from NPR to tell us about his first, favorite, and future, journalist Giles Snyder.
All right, so let's try this, see if it works. I'm Giles. I'm an NPR newscaster, and I'm from Charleston, West Virginia. And Jeff Shirley invited me to do this thing, 3 things, and he was very persistent and finally convinced me to do it. Decided to do it while I was walking my dog, at least a portion of my 3 things, while I'm out walking my dog. This is my dog right here. Say hello, Jasper. That's my dog, Jasper, and in honor of doing this for Jeff, I put on my old Mountain Stage ratty old sweatshirt that I have, and I'm also wearing the old West Virginia Public Broadcasting hat. Anyway, 3 things. My first thing, how did I get into journalism? That's kind of a story, I guess. Starting at the beginning, come on, Jasper. Starting at the beginning, I was with, I went to school at Marshall University and spent a whole 1 semester in the journalism school as a freshman before I freaked out and didn't have enough confidence to think that I could get up in front of people and ask a question of somebody like the governor or a mayor of a town or whatever, somebody in a place of political importance, and ask them a question in front of a bunch of people. I just didn't really have the confidence to do that. So I got out of journalism pretty quick and went into speech broadcasting as a major. It was in the communication. It's like a speech communications degree. Fully intended to go work behind the scenes in television, but it really didn't work out that way. Got through my 4 years at Marshall. My first job was at an office supply store. Hated it. And then decided that I would start calling around to radio and TV stations just to see if I could get an interview. And the first thing that came up was called a little station out of Milton called, the call letters were WAEZ. You may have heard of it, I don't know. Milton is between Huntington and Charleston off I-64. And this little radio station that I worked at, that the program director actually hired me. I was amazed. But it was an automated station, and it was pretty much just watching reel-to-reel tape, roll until they ran out, and then putting fresh tapes up. The owner of the station was a big NASCAR guy. He had a car dealership in Hurricane, I think, and he dabbled in radio. It was kind of his hobby. So we used to run the NASCAR races every Sunday afternoon, and that would be my job too, to play commercials during the commercial breaks and do the legal IDs at the top of the hour, because people have to know who they're listening to, right? So one day I happened to pick up on my way in a Charleston Gazette, a newspaper, a Sunday Gazette, and ended up seeing an ad for West Virginia Public Radio, looking for an announcer-producer. And I applied, and it turned out to be one of the best things I ever did. And when I was hired, it was one of the best days of my life. It kind of kicked off my career in public media. Spent 16 years there, and I guess the next best day I ever had was when NPR called after 16 years of toiling away. And I liked it. I did just about everything there was to do at West Virginia Public Broadcasting, from reporting news, reading news, and being an operations guy, and just doing just about everything that you could do at a radio station. But the day I got a call from NPR and they hired me as a newscaster was my second best day. Top 2 days, right there. So that's how I ended up in radio journalism, kind of an accidental way. When I initially got into public radio, I looked around and decided that that's where all the meaningful work, at least to me, was being done, and decided that's what I was going to do, and that's what I did. Got a couple of other favorite things to do. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to take you down into my basement studio for a quick look around. Now, don't tell my wife that I took you down there, because it's a mess and she would kill me. But I'm going to take you down there just so you can see my home studio. I've been broadcasting from my basement since May, and I expect to remain down there at least through May of 2021. And so anyway, stay tuned. I'll be right back. Gonna walk the dog around the block a little bit more, and then head down into the basement, and we'll check out my basement studio. All right, see you soon. Okay, 3 things. Here we are, back down in the basement. Don't tell my wife I brought you down here, because she really will be mad at me, because the place is a wreck. I'm not going to take you on a tour of it, because it really is kind of a wreck. But one of the things that I like to do down here before I get started broadcasting, boy, my hair is getting long. For me, anyway, you may think it's short, but for me, it's pretty long. I was getting my hair cut pretty regularly there for a while, just because my barber was a friend of mine, and I wanted to support him through the pandemic. But now that it's getting bad, I think I'm just going to hold off for a little while anyway, and be on the safe side, and probably not get my hair cut for another month or two. But anyway, one of the first things I like to do when I come down here is light a candle, just because I think it makes it a little homey down here, you think? And makes me feel like I'm on air, because when I start my shift, I turn the candle on, or I light the candle, turn it on. I light the candle, and then when I leave, I shut it off, I blow it out. Anyway, that's my candle. I like to have it on while I'm down here broadcasting to the world for National Public Radio. We do this, it's a pretty simple setup. Let me see if I can show you some stuff here. You may wonder what this is. This is an old quilt or an old comforter that my son used to use when he was little. And I've got I just threw it over some shelving and put it over in front of the table that I used with all my gear on it, just to help deaden sound. And I have a laptop right here. And let me pop open what we call NewsFlex. It is our software that we use to collect and write news. We get the AP Wire on it and Reuters on it, and we use it to do news, to help us write the news and figure it all out from there. We also use this little guy here. It's all kind of integrated, our scripts and our audio all connected together. Sorry, I have to cough. It's all kind of interconnected. And this is our rundown for the next hour that's coming up. I'm not broadcasting, but whoever is will be running this, the audio that's in these collections, so to speak. And I can show you the scripts here real quick too, if you're interested. And whoever is coming up will be reading these scripts here. Some of them aren't done, some of them are. You can just scroll right through, and then when it comes time to play audio, we just do it straight off of, well, we do it right here. It should be coming up. Here's our multi-track editor. It's coming up. I hope I'm getting this okay. Probably not, but hopefully it'll give you kind of a sense of what it is that we do. And then we just play the audio right there, and on and off and on and off. And we have a piece of audio that's associated with each script that comes down the pike. I don't know if that was any good presentation or not, but there it is. Anyway, of course, for radio, you got to have a microphone, and that's our microphone. And it is a pretty inexpensive mic, but it does the job that we want it to do because it's mainly pretty directional. As long as you're right up on top of it, it cancels out any room noise that may be present. Turn the mic on and off. Some musicians may be familiar with a roll switch. That's how we turn the mic on and off. And we also have, sorry, I'm trying to do this. Okay, this little guy right here, which is our Comrex. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that or not. And this guy is what connects us to the internet. We have our laptop plugged into it, the microphone is plugged into it, and then it's hardwired into my router, which is right over there. And voila, that's how we get the audio down to NPR HQ. And this is my second thing, by the way. And it is my favorite thing so far right now because I'm not commuting. Don't get me wrong, I'd like for the pandemic to go away, but I am not missing the commute from Martinsburg to Washington, D.C. at all. It's about 90 miles one way, so it's about 180 miles every day. Lots of miles on my car, and let me tell you, I've seen some things on the interstate that are wrecks. I've been backed up on the interstate a lot. I hit a deer myself one time late at night. Ended up spending the night in Frederick, Maryland because of it, in kind of a seedy hotel. I was not happy, happy at all. And so I really don't miss the commute at all. And this is my favorite thing, working from my basement. I know it's kind of a shoddy tour, but it's the best I can do with the tools that I have right now. So that was my second thing, my favorite thing about my job right now. And I'd like to go back outside because it's such a pretty day. Go back outside and tell you about my third thing, which is what I hope to do in the future, or what I hope is in my future. So let's go back outside. We'll go out back, and maybe the dogs will be out there. And I'll introduce you to my German Shepherd. We have a German Shepherd. He's getting kind of old, so he's not really walking too well right now. His hips are going bad. But he may be out in the back trying to, sitting around in the sun, sunning himself, and tell you about my third thing. So we'll be right back, okay? See you soon. Three things. I'm back with my third thing. And heading out to the backyard here just because I want to be outside, like I said. One thing I would like to mention about my second thing, you may be wondering why I chose to move to Martinsburg rather than go all the way in to Washington, D.C. or hit a closer suburb in 2004 when I took my job at NPR. Well, it's pretty simple. The short answer is I wanted my children to be like me. They were little at the time, and I wanted them to know where they were from. And they're from West Virginia. My father's family ran a weekly newspaper over here in the Panhandle. Whoa, that's the neighbor's dog, by the way. I'm surprised my dogs have not chimed in. Here is Jasper. Yeah, he's he's all mixed up. He's a little bit of everything. And then I'll get back on topic here in a second. I just want to introduce you to my dog, Rodney, who's hanging out over here. Say hello, Rodney. Yeah. Rodney is our German Shepherd, and he's a good boy. And so's Jasper. The neighbor dogs I don't know about. But anyway, wanted to stay in West Virginia because of my kids. I wanted them to be like me. My father's family ran a newspaper over in Shepherdstown for over 70 years. I think my great-grandfather was the editor for like 50. And my mother's family had been in West Virginia for even longer. Their farm is still there in Hardy County, right outside Moorfield. They settled it in the 1740s. So we're a West Virginia family. I wanted my kids to know where they're from. Anyway, my third thing, I guess, is talk a bit about my future. Planning on retiring in a few years. I'm 57 now, so I got a few years to go. But I want to be looking for something that I can do after I retire. I used to write a humor column for the local paper here in Martinsburg, and that was a whole lot of fun. It gave me confidence in my writing, and NPR has given me confidence in my writing. So I'd like to just try to find something that I can do writing-wise, maybe write a memoir or travel book about West Virginia, possibly. I mean, I work with a bunch of people at NPR who are world travelers. They travel to war zones, they go to exotic places, European capitals, and report. And here I am deciding to remain in little old West Virginia because that's just what I want to, where I want to be, and what I want to, where I want to be. So I would like to write maybe, if I have a book in me, I'm not sure that I do. If you'll just stay quiet, just for 2 seconds more. I'm not sure that I have a book in me, but I would like to find something, within the next couple of years that I can do from home when I retire. And maybe in the meantime, once the pandemic is over, maybe NPR will allow us to stick around here at home as well, at least, broadcast from home part-time. That would be great. I would love that. Anyway, I'd like to thank Jeff Shirley for inviting me, persuading me to do this, 3 things. It's been fun, and I hope I haven't bored you too much, and we'll see you soon on the radio. Take care of yourself.
Thank you, Giles. Great job. And I'm so glad that you and the dogs agreed to do this. What a wonderful way to end our 5th season. I'd like to thank all of my guests. I'd like to thank you for watching. Thanks to my sponsors, and especially the Glotfelty Foundation for their generosity. You can find info on season tickets, sponsorship, and the when and where for next season of 3 Things by going to FestivALLCharleston.com. Thank you for watching 3 Things, my first, my favorite, my future.
When I was young, I had a lot to say. So I learned how to sing, I learned how to play. You said you were mine when you heard my song. After all these years, you still sing along. The first time, the best time, the good times to come. Those 3 things we'll never forget. Well, staring at my canvas with its misplaced strokes, I took it into town to show some folks. I was only after a little good advice, but their eyes lit up. They asked me, what's the price? The first time, the best time, the good times to come. Those 3 things we'll never forget. An old pile of wood and a can of paint. You can see what it could be, not what it ain't. A blank piece of paper, a thought in your head. Say what you're saying till all you're saying is said. Oh, the first time, the best time, the good times to come. Those 3 things we'll never forget. The first time, the best time, the good times to come. Those 3 things we'll never forget.